Now, from the early 20th century, the definition of news, journalism and marketing had been quite clear. But as the media transforms and gains a wider range of readers, listeners and viewers, these concepts or definitions are no longer so clear. The Public Relations Society of America recently listed brand journalism as one of the top 12 trends in public relations for 2012. That was 2 years ago. And now to tell us where we are now and to talk about how journalism can now be used to build brands, we are joined in our Cape Town studio by Helene Lindsay from New Media Publishing, who will give us a little bit more detail. Good morning to you, Helene. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Urban. It's Helene, just to correct you, sorry, but good morning.
Thank you for correcting me on national TV there, my dear.
Sorry.
Let's move on to this thing. Brand journalism, isn't it two concepts that are contradictory in a way?
To a certain extent, yes, but the notion of storytelling, which is a bandied about term at the moment, but the notion of storytelling is how people have always connected. So journalism is about sharing news or about sharing information or about educating people. And brands have used it now, and if it's done with integrity, they use it to connect with their audiences as well, as long as it has something to do with the nature of the topic. So if you think of brands like Red Bull, the most famous one, Red Bull uses the concept of adventure and communities to be able to connect with their audiences. And they've done it really well. You know, it's all linked to an energy drink, but it has an authority. They have an authority to speak about it. There's an interesting local example, PPC Cement, the least likely candidate, and they've just launched a fantastic design competition, how to use cement in applications other than buildings. So the two notions are, or used to not be linked, but I think they're very closely aligned.
It sounds a lot to me like agencies, again, trying to trick us consumers out there with a new concept. How do you view that?
I agree with you. I think there were a lot of people who rather not misunderstand, but abuse the concept of content marketing or branded journalism, because it's not about the word and the text, and it's not about bombarding people with more content. There is so much already on the web. We get bombarded with adverts on the side of buses. You can't even go to the Lunan airport and not have to face an ad. So I completely agree with you, but I think that there are agencies, or I know there are agencies, that are doing it with incredible amount of integrity. And when it's done that way, it actually adds value to a consumer's life. So if you think of a retailer that deals with parenting issues and actually gives their consumers very real tips on how to deal with school issues and dietary requirements, exercise requirements, that is adding value to someone's life. If you think about IKEA, for example, which is a fantastic, everybody knows the Scandinavian retailer, but they publish 42 catalogs. They've got 8 YouTube channels. They're using content, but to make their consumers' lives better. So the YouTube channels deal with how to put the flat packs together, with design tips, with color advice. So it actually adds value when you do it properly. I think there are a lot of people that don't understand how to do it properly.
Marketing 101, you're telling me. What is the impact of brand journalism then on journalism that I see myself as doing a little bit?
So in the beginning, a few years prior, when content marketing wasn't such a popular term, it was regarded as the poorer cousin of publishing. And I would hate journalists to feel that it's a marketer trying to use an expertise, a craft and a skill, which I believe journalism is. So I would believe the impact now is that there are companies who understand the absolute quality and the nature of craftsmanship that is required. And when they do it well, and they do it according to the traditions of pure journalism. And I've also seen there's been a knock-on effect of the economy, of newsrooms cutting down, of the myriad channels and options available. The budgets aren't as big anymore, and I would hope that as journalism gets compromised in the normal sense, where it's relying on consumers or advertisers to support them, that branded journalism helps journalists raise the bar once again for a skill and a profession that's very much respected.
So what are the marketers saying then? Is that journalism in general, the craft, as we'd like to call it, is that in decline and that we're going into a more commercial stroke PR scenario?
No, I don't think so, because what I'm hearing, the train of these questions, I think I'd like to just make something very clear, is that it's not about creating more content. As I said earlier, there are some content agencies at the moment who are churning over, repackaging, repurpose and selling content because it's linked to something. I think that is absolute nonsense, and I think that the brands and the marketers that are employing that are doing everybody a disservice. But when it's done properly, we employ, and I know all the other people that we regard as competitors and peers in our field, employ the most brilliant journalists, the most brilliant editors, the most brilliant designers, because we believe in the quality, because we believe in excellence. So we actually are buying into exactly, I think, what you are fighting for. We are not marketers. We are publishers first and foremost. We happen just to fulfill a marketing role for a brand, and I think that's the difference. And
what do you think, then, would be the benefit for the consumer? Because in the end, that should be the gauge, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. If it's not adding benefit, then it's a waste of money, and it's actually an insult. The benefit to the consumer, and I've seen it on myriad occasions, for some of our clients, we provide health advice, and we actually tackle their real problems. So it's not, very often consumer publications publish, I'm not to be rude, but they publish, 10 ways to lose weight and 3 ways to get your beach body ready. And what we are trying to do is speak with authority. So if we're talking for a financial services company, we don't talk about fashion. We will talk about how to save money, how to put money away for the trust fund. What is the difference between a retirement annuity and a pension fund? So we actually use the expertise of the business that we're representing to help the consumer get insights. And I think that's important. It's not done frivolously. It's done with meaning and care and respect.
Thank you very much, Helene, for joining us today from Cape Town. That's Helene Lindsay.
Thank you, Urban.
She's from New Media Publishing, and we're talking about brand journalism, how it impacts on the wider sphere of journalism. In the end, it's just more marketing for you and me, the lay people out there. Let's take a look now.